Hello, I'm Liv,
I'm Shannon.
and we are going to be interviewing Laura for our first Hotshots podcast interview. Laura, could you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Yes, thank you very much for having me on. My name's Laura Pennycard. I'm an actress and also a coach. And I live in the area and I'm really interested in helping you with your project.
Thank you so much. What advice would you give us as aspiring performers to go into the industry?
Okay, well, there's lots of things really, but I suppose the first thing at this stage, it's a bit of a negative question, so I'll try and frame it positively in the way I say it to you, but is just really checking in on how much you want it. I'm sure you've had lots of people ask you this question, but do you definitely want to do it? Is there anything else you would also consider doing? If so, sorry, here comes the negative bit, you probably will end up doing that. So getting really real with yourself about whether at all costs this is what you want to do. And if it is, fantastic, and you're going to have the ride of your life. It's the best career I could possibly imagine.
How did you know you wanted to become an actress?
I don't ever remember making the decision. I always wanted to. So from as soon as I started doing drama as a club and stuff like that, I didn't want to do anything else. It was what I always wanted to do. And I was lucky enough to grow, like you guys in Reading, I was growing up in Bristol, and there's just loads of opportunities for people, for young actors and stuff, telly-wise, youth theatre-wise, with the Old Vic, everything like that. So I was lucky that I had those opportunities on my doorstep, really.
Yeah.
So what do you personally love about acting?
Okay. Firstly is probably the collaboration. I absolutely love connecting. In life, I love connecting with people. So the fact that in a rehearsal room you get to build something energetically and grow and respond by what somebody else is doing, I absolutely love that and thrive off it. In terms of actual performance, I guess it's trying out different personalities, different things to yourself. So, for example, when I was a younger actor, I was very much kind of, English rose, middle class, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine and nice to play, but it was so interesting to play things completely opposite to yourself. And I think when you're younger, you do get those opportunities more maybe than when you get a bit older. So I really love that creativity and trying out different personalities and stuff.
Definitely. So what's your favourite type of theatre?
I'm really bad at these pick a favourite meal or whatever. But I think for me it's about it being good text. That's probably the only thing I could pick out. So I love working on things where through the writing, through the writer, you're understanding who the character is that they wrote, that they wanted you to sort of find your own version of. So if it's good writing, that is extremely helpful as an actor. And that can give you a really broad range. So I love Shakespeare, that's very much my land. But equally, more modern writers like Anthony Minghella and stuff like that, I really, really enjoy playing because he knows what he's doing and he's written an actual person that he's really fully thought through in relationships and interactions. So as long as the text is good, I'm happy. Yeah.
What would you say is like the biggest challenge in your role as an actor?
In anyone's as an actor or me?
Yeah, as you, yeah.
Me. Well, okay, this isn't relevant for you guys now, but hands down, it's having a family. So I have a 9-year-old, and things get impossible once that happens. So if you want any form of other life, whether that's a mortgage, getting married, having children, it isn't impossible, but it's so close to it that it's another point that lots of people, particularly women, unfortunately, drop out of the industry.
So how did you start off your career? I see that you go to the Royal Welsh drama school. How was that experience for you?
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think drama school were definitely the best 3 years of my life. Obviously don't tell my son that, but it was just, it was just incredible. It's 3 years. I did a 3-year course, so it's 3 years of doing what you love from 9, 10 in the morning till 7 at night, 5-6 days a week. It was absolutely incredible. And for me, I mean, the drama schools are so specific, aren't they, to the person? But I loved Royal Welsh because it was a brilliant mix of like seriously hard work, but just down to earth and about the work. There didn't seem to be any kind of gloss or spin on anything, which, who knows, I only went to one, but I felt like some of the others maybe had. They're not really about the ego or anything like that. It's just about truly training for 3 years, and I loved that, absolutely loved it.
Yeah, definitely. So, when we did that, the Watermill prologue group, from your training at the drama school, did you feel like you gained any of those skills and you incorporated that in?
Yeah, that's lessons? A really good question, actually, because it's I think as much about what you want to do as an actor is about what you're going to do alongside that to support it, because the reality is unless you're the 0.0000001% of people, you are going to have another job alongside it.
Yeah.
And you are absolutely right. I think training as an actor or performer prepares you so well for the world in terms of interviews, presenting, any job you're going to have to do, because you're going to have to interact with people. And something like that, of course, so running workshops and helping young performers. I mean, the question, did Welsh College help with that? No, like we didn't have any sort of class on the other jobs you're going to do. I think maybe people do a bit more now, but definitely the skills you learn are really translatable to the other things I do, definitely, yeah.
As an aspiring actress myself, I'm applying to drama schools, and so we have to do auditions, and I've never personally been to a drama school audition. Yeah. How would you say, how is the auditions there? Is it like nerve-wracking or?
Okay, so I'm quite old, so I mean it's 20 years since I left drama school, so I'm sure they're a bit different now, but the essence will be the same. Yeah, I think they are nerve-wracking. I'm not going to make that any prettier than it is. And it's, I mean, there's a lot of lobbying at the moment to make it more accessible. I think it's sort of a bit outrageous, really, how far you have to travel, how much you have to spend, and how little of their time you get. So that is trying to be changed. There's a lot of noise in the industry about that, but that's a bit unfair or uncomfortable. And the audition process, it depends on the school, but that's a good example of why I loved Royal Welsh so much. I really felt valued in the room. I felt like my audition, for a start, they watched it rather than pretending to do distracting things to see if you can cope with them being distracting. I hate all that game playing, and you do get some of that. But all these things are indicative of what the industry is like. So yeah, it is a bit scary. Yes, sometimes people don't treat you with masses of respect. I'm not saying that's okay, but it's probably a precursor to what the life in the industry are like at times. So in terms of what to do about that, definitely practice. Do it in uncomfortable situations. Don't do it for the first time in front of a stranger in your audition. So do it in front of your neighbour, your mate, your mum or whatever. Or the mirror. Like, get really real about what you're delivering. And on the day, look after your energy as much as your content. And that's a thing for life, really, I think. But do warm up, do ground yourself, do give yourself your positive affirmations or whatever it is you need to do to feel good about yourself. Don't just worry about your lines. They're looking to meet you. That's the other thing. They're looking to meet a person in the room, right? Not just a polished performance, not just, I know I move here, or I know I breathe there. So getting yourself grounded and present is really important. Otherwise, you probably won't show that bit.
Well, unfortunately for us, like, we've got to do self-videotapes instead of that. So obviously we can't really show our personalities as much through that. How would you say is a good way to, like, show, like, us as people, like, what can make us stand out?
Oh yeah, that is such a tricky.
Yeah,
you're coming
really
out of a really tricky time, aren't you? I mean, I think it's always
Yeah.
tricky, but goodness me, out of these couple of years. Well, I think you need to follow the criteria precisely. So whatever they've asked for, if it's 2 minutes, do not go over 2 minutes, and all that kind of stuff. But I think there will be two schools of thought here. So I'll give you both. But mine would be just to be really natural and authentic. So I would show my personality.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes mean making, if a little mistake happens, don't, not in your speech, but in your introduction, just use it. Like, let them see a bit of personality, a bit of laughter, a bit of humour, a bit of something come through.
Because obviously it's really tempting, like, if you were to video it and then you mess up, I need to redo it and redo it and redo it.
I know. And probably on the pieces you're going to want to, and I think maybe that's right. But there is, on the little joins and transitions, maybe there's an opportunity for it.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people would say, make sure you say something quirky or a bit offbeat or a bit challenging. And I bet that works for people who are naturally like that.
Yeah.
I would never have been able to pull that off. It would have looked really awkward on me. But if you can do that, if that's your natural vibe, then great. Yeah,
for sure. So I was just going to ask you, obviously you had your little Doc Marten, Doc Marten thing, How did you find that? Because obviously I'm really interested in the film and television, and like obviously you've had the experience, and it's very different to theatre. How would you, give me advice on that?
Okay, well, first thing is that yes, it is very different. So just allowing, it's adopting the right style for a project is really important, even within theatre, different styles and stuff. And you're really lucky, like, I think your generation are all coming through with a lot more telly and film training. I think we had half a term in 3 years when I was at drama school. Yeah. Even though so much of your work or what you're relying on as your income comes from there. So I think you're probably all right. I think you're probably getting enough training in it and stuff. And so maybe you wouldn't feel this as much as I did. I loved Marten, it was really fun, and the films I've done and stuff I've loved, but it's so different because there's no process other than the personal process before you arrive. So, for example, my scenes with Marten Clunes, I met him on set, as they said, action. Luckily, he's really lovely. He runs a really family-friendly set and is really like jokey and puts you at ease. But there's no rehearsing, and like even if you're playing someone's, you know, brother, mother, whatever, you haven't got that relationship. No. Whereas in a theatre rehearsal room, you have 3.5 weeks to develop that and create that.
Definitely.
So I don't know if I'd say I find it hard, but that's quite an less authentic shift for me. I don't find that as easy or comfortable. But it's also really fun because it's quite I suppose nerves is something to bear in mind there. Theatre, you get more comfortable as you go on, don't you? And you've got the live response of the audience. If you're nervous, definitely learn some techniques to calm that down because you just won't get another go at it.
What type of techniques would you suggest?
Breathing, breath. Grounding, breathing, kick your shoes off, get your feet on the ground, stand with them hip width apart, lower your centre into your core, breathing, power poses. Or if you're really nervous, like a body shake, you know, just shake the tension out of your body, things like that. Yeah.
So would you say that getting like roles in TV and like film, do you think that's like really hard?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry to say, yeah. It's sort of self-perpetuating. If your career starts like that or if you get an opening in it, then other things will probably follow more easily. I think the thing that's hard is you have no control over that. That is literally your agent. So that's what I always found a bit of a closed shop about that. With theatre, you can make your own contacts, you can network in your own way, and you can go direct to them, and you can see anyone in the public can see what a theatre's doing for the next 6 months, so you know, and you can apply even if they don't read it. You can do your end of it. Telly, absolutely not. You're just sort of random email to the casting director of the BBC. I mean, once in a blue moon that gets read, but it's really, really unlikely.
Yeah. So is it a lot more easier to network with in theatre?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of it's easy.
No.
But you're allowed to, I suppose that's what I would say. So yeah.
It's more accessible.
Yeah, you feel a bit more in control, and you don't feel much control in this career.
No.
And that's something that's quite nice to get, if you can get comfortable with, well, my day writing your letters and your day writing.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they do pay off. I really do that. That's a really easy way to be visible. I get now at my age quite a lot of my jobs I just get, and that's not for any particular brilliant reason. It's because they have known me, even if it's just by applications or tweets or whatever over the years, and then they're like, oh, she's right for it, I won't even bother auditioning.
And obviously you have an agency, don't you? Is it?
Yeah, although I've actually recently left my agent, not for any terrible reason, but just because the reality of where my career is, everything, it was just getting uncomfortable in terms of everything he was putting me up for I couldn't take, so like a year in the West End or what have you, and then you just have this tension the whole time between you. But that's a different issue, you're not facing that now. But yes, I've had an agent my whole career. I've just chosen not to at this point because it's just not.
Was it helpful when you did it before? Would
you say 100%.
Useful getting an agent and.
Yes, definitely. They will just open doors that you don't get, and it's also just someone's got your back. But on that, don't ever sign with anyone who asks you to sign or spend any money. Don't ever do that because they won't work for you because they've already got your money. And just this is a bit like if you can be choosy, but make sure you've got a good relationship with them and you don't feel under sort of undue pressure for them, or they don't understand your life setup and all of that, because it just won't work. It'll just be clunky. They'll be trying to get you to do things you don't want to do and all of that.
Yeah.
Moving from the film and part, I've looked at your website and it said that you teach holistic health.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? Could you explain that to us? Because it looks really interesting.
Definitely can. I'm afraid it's got nothing to do with you as actors, but yeah, definitely. So I work with Tibetan singing bowls. That's probably why I go on about grounding and breath and stuff. It's another massive passion of mine, like energetic work. Yeah. And
but it all links in with acting, because if you've got good breath, then you're going to be able to be more confident.
Yeah, and that's probably the way round it happened. So I often wonder how I got into confidence coaching and sound healing and stuff, and it probably is from that, and then realising what I like about it. So I do one-on-one treatments or sound baths. Often people do yoga and sound treatments. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that's an area that I work in. And I love it because it's just calming the nervous system and it's very relaxing and can be very healing.
Yeah.
Bit different though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, on that, if you do, so I do think that's a good thing to think about. Not right now, but jobs alongside it. it's really likely that through your first 10 years, that'll be whether it's waiting tables or temping or whatever, like, because then you can pick it up and drop it. If you get a gig that starts in 5 days' time, it's not a problem because you're allowed to leave jobs like that. But probably within your first 10 years, I wish someone had talked to me about this, working out what your other job, and it's not at all compromising being an actor, but it's just the reality of when you get older and you want other things in your life, like a reliable income, knowing what that might be. So if you think it might be voiceovers or radio, of course that's still acting, but that you have to build that, to get in on that. So it's a different area really. Or for me, coaching, or people have other things they do that you can still leave for an acting job. It's still self-employed, it's still in your control, but that is me and my peers, those of us who'd sort of got that by 30 are now much more comfortable at 40. I don't just mean financially, I mean just anyway in terms of rhythm of your life and stuff. So that's something to also think about.
Yeah,
it's really interesting actually.
Definitely. So your one-to-one lessons, obviously you've had LAMDA training. How would you say that's had an impact on the lessons? Like, what do you use the LAMDA training in?
So I guess that's my extra job, and that's where it started. I know the coaching stuff came, but it was an obvious link for me because I did the LAMDA exams growing up. So I didn't you don't train as a LAMDA teacher, which is bizarre, isn't it? But if you're an actor or performer, anyone actually can set up as it. Obviously, you have to get a job and clients, but I think I hope that kids like it because you actually are in the business, and so you're passing on, applicable and relevant things rather than coming from a teaching or a literature background. I think that's a good thing for them. It's inspiring, hopefully, for them.
I also wanted to ask, why, I know it might be a hard question, but why did you want to do like acting? Was it like something that like as a young age you wanted to do like since forever, or like it just like suddenly came to you or anything? Or
good question. I think, oh gosh, it's going to sound very twee, this, isn't it? I think, for me, I think I was born, when I say with it, I'm not talking about talent. I mean, I don't, like I said before, I don't remember making the decision. So I think as soon as I started doing drama lessons or plays and things, I just wanted to do it all the time. That's all I wanted to be doing. And luckily my parents didn't say no. I mean, I'm sure they would have preferred me to go to university and study something sensible. Well, no, actually, no, I think they were really pleased. They probably would have liked it done themselves and didn't. So I was very lucky like that, and got loads of help because it's the funding, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And I was really lucky because Royal Welsh was through UCAS rather than one of the ones that aren't, and because that's all means tested, it just didn't. I mean, of course, you can't work when you're there. That's the problem because the hours are so long. But as long as you could get by on that and not need to pay much of the fees and everything, it was doable. But it's a big ask, isn't it, if you or whoever's helping you or supporting you, or so that's an unavoidable block.
How would you say, like, since being a parent, that your acting career has like been since having Ted?
Really good question as well, because on the one hand it's disastrous because but on the one hand it is, right? So I can't do 90% of the jobs I would have done before I had him 9 years ago. But on the other hand, it's brilliant because there's this thing that happens when there's something more important to you. So I think through my 20s and beginning of 30s before I had him, it was everything, like at all costs, burn all bridges, and you probably need to be when you're coming out. That probably is necessary and right in your 20s, within reason. Or not within reason. And then when I had Ted, I mean, for example, I got Dr. Marten 6 months after I had Ted, and I'd done films before, but really not much telly, maybe in a couple of little tellies a long time ago. And I think that's interesting. I think there's something about going in. I mean, there was all sorts of things going on in my life as well at the time. I was extremely preoccupied, and I was prepared, but not how I would have been 5 years before. And probably just finished feeding him and passed him to someone random and gone in and done my audition, if I'm honest. And there's something about the centre drop that happens when you have something else much bigger, and you also need the job because you actually really need to pay for stuff now because it's not just you,
Definitely.
So in a way, so many doors are shut for you, and I hope this is changing. Lots of female writers are really trying to write more parts for 30s and 40s women, but certainly for me and my peers was very little. And the children thing really makes that tricky. But I do think things are trying to change, so hopefully that won't be. So I think you relax, you get perspective, you're a bit more immediate, a bit more present, a bit less sort of looping about what's the best way to do something, all of that as you get older. It's not just about children, I think it's as you get older.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of doors shut, unfortunately. So
yeah.
I also wanted to ask, is there anyone that that you're inspired by or anything? Because I know I have a lot of inspirations within like the acting industry.
Okay, yeah. Definitely there are performers I look at and go, oh, I'd love that. I think that's a good thing to do, actually. Look at the career you like in somebody. So the role, so say there's somebody who always plays the roles you'd like to play. So look at that. Look at who they're represented by. Look at what their journey up was like. Because that's quite, I'm not saying you can definitely replicate it, but it's a good place to start, isn't it? So for me, I mean, it was all sort of theatre sort of actors that I was really, I suppose that was my beat growing up. It's like, yes, I did like telly and film, but it wasn't my driver. My driver was looking at who's working at the Almeida, Donmar National. I want that sort of career. But the really inspiration for me came from people I was lucky enough to meet or work with, I think.
Who did you?
So, but I mean, even at a young age, right? So, and you've probably all got people like this as well. My drama teacher, as I grew up through senior school age, that sort of age, so like 11 to 18, enormously. I mean, she went to RADA, she was an actress. It was like the right sort of person for me. But hugely inspired, think about her all the time. And, I don't know, like structural informative thing, experiences, but also information that I just wouldn't have got where I got with or where I am without having had someone like that having my back and sort of steering it a little bit. Definitely drama school. I'm sure you guys find here there are people who, light a spark or make you go, oh, I'd like a bit of that.
Yeah.
I think it's people I've met really more than just, oh, that person I saw on telly once or whatever.
Definitely. What type of style of theatre would you say attracts you most?
Yeah, I don't think I know the answer to that. I'm not, again, it's back to the, so corny, back to that quality thing.
Yeah.
So if the text is good, if the director's good, that's pretty important. And the people in the room, you're never going to get everybody, are you? But like, as long as there's a couple of people in there who are really excited energetically to work with, like, regardless of how many lines you got or where you're performing. Yeah. I mean, I have theatres on my like hit list, definitely, of like, oh, I want to work there, I want to work there. But style.
So would you like musicals? Or?
Oh, okay. No, not really. I've done a lot of actor museo work, so that's plays with music. That's an area which if you play instruments, it is quite useful because then you get to do their other stuff there as well.
Which instruments can you play?
Piano, clarinet and saxophone.
Yeah.
And then I have some other instruments dotted around that I kind of feel like, but if you're an actor museo, often in a show, you'll like be employed because you play the clarinet and they need that for something. But then they'll go, oh, can you play the double bass in this scene or the drum in that scene? And like, no, you can't, but you can learn whatever the little thing is.
Yeah.
I don't really want to do any of that now. It was really useful. I enjoyed it mainly, and it gets you in at theatre. So say you want to, be at the National, they're not seeing you, but then they need an actor museo that happens to have your two instruments. Like, definitely go for it, because then hopefully get used for the other things and stuff. So I've done a lot of singing in plays like that, and pantos, I suppose, but not full musicals. No, I'm sure it'd be amazing. I'm just not talented like that. I can't do that. So
yeah. So would you say you like more like political like theatre?
Oh, okay. I think I meant to say yes to that, because that would be really worthy, wouldn't it? But of course, theatre that changes, theatre that challenges, definitely, of course, that's exciting. But probably slightly more indulgent than that. I'd want it to be a really good role with a really good connection. There probably is a bit of that at the front for me. But yeah, of course, if it can, be activating change,
what type of roles have you played before in theatre that's really stood out to you that you've...
I should have thought about that one, shouldn't I? Loads. I mean, hands down, my favourite play I ever did was Brief Encounter, which Emma Rice is an amazing director, and she runs a company called The Wise Children. She was also at the Globe, and she created Knee High, which is the version we did of Brief Encounter. And she's incredible. This is a good example, actually. So it's experimental, it's visceral, it's quite circus-like and crazy, but the heart of the story, the heart of the messages and the characters is totally true to the original Noel Coward text. It was an acting museo show, but I actually, because I played Laura, who's the main character in that, and she doesn't leave the stage, so I actually didn't play any instruments in that, but plenty of other people. Well, I did play the piano at the end, actually, but I loved it. I got to fly on a wire. It's all really indulgent, isn't it? It's like the exciting things. Flying a wire, didn't leave the stage, got to do a tango dance.
Sounds really fun.
And kind of play Rachmaninoff on the piano. So yeah, it was a good one.
Definitely.
Yeah. But then you saying political, I did this project at Greenham Common a couple of years in a row, which was all about the peace camps and stuff. Totally different gig, right?
Yeah.
So you've got your story beats that you have to go through, but really it's live, so people can ask you anything. It's like you are the person, and you're on Greenham Common, around a campfire, and that's hugely political and improv based and what have you. It can be quite scary, but that was amazing as well.
Yeah, it sounds really.
Yeah.
Really fun.
What advice would you give to us and the viewers of like someone wanting to pursue like a similar career to your career?
Okay, definitely go to drama school. I just think it's just so tricky if you don't. And you will grow so much. Like I know you already are here. Like I didn't get to do this. Wasn't so common to be able to go at this age to college and do performing arts in quite the same way. Or I certainly didn't have those opportunities. But I really would go to drama school.
Definitely.
And let me think about that. I think when you come out, I don't want to say do anything. I don't mean that. Like if something is going against your core or doesn't feel right, of course don't do that. But maybe just don't have too attached ideas to what you want to do.
No.
As in, it doesn't mean you have to do something you really do. You can definitely make a couple of decisions, can't you? If I don't want to do that or I don't want to do that. But I think, and this is about life. Yeah, because I think things come across your path, and if you've already decided you're not going to do that one because you're definitely going to do that. But what if that doesn't come along and then you miss that opportunity there? And doors can open in surprising places. So say, for example, you were like, I never want to do a soap. Lots of people feel that when they first start out. I used to say that. Oh, give my blooming right arm to do a soap. I mean, for a start, it would pay for my house. You'd get to grow as a character.
Definitely.
You get loads of jobs off the back of it. That's just an example. But like, say I'd been totally single-minded on that, then you'd have missed that, wouldn't you? And what if the other stuff isn't coming in? So I suppose stay really open-minded. Keep checking in with yourself about what you want. Definitely keep your skills up. I think that's it. I wish I'd sort of thought of that more, but it definitely did serve me when it did kick in, of like keep vocally strong, physically fit, all that kind of stuff, because when the door opens, particularly early in your career, it literally can be start on Monday and you auditioned on Thursday, so just be ready,
Definitely.
And be nice. I know that sounds really, but that sounds so silly, doesn't it? But I know that's got me a long way, like that people
yourself,
just wanted me in the rehearsal room. I hope they gave me the job because I could do it as well, but that goes a long, long way. People want to work with people they want to spend time with, Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and it's been really helpful to all of us. So yeah.
Oh, well, thanks very much for having me on.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for listening.